Hey guys, Evan and Miranda here. Come on, join me for a walk with the dog. I've got some things I want to share with you. Alright, right out of the gate, let me say this. This whole COVID-19, I firmly believe, is a bunch of puffed up crap. I'll tell you where that comes from. During this walk, there are going to be several things that are going to come up, and I'm always going to keep reiterating one statement to you. Real virus, fake reaction to the virus. If you look here at the back of my Lysol bottle, is nothing new. It's been around for a while. My daughter, probably a good month ago now, said, "Dad, this is basically the election year flu." And I had to laugh because she was right. I already knew that. She was right. I just thought it was interesting that a 19-year-old would have already picked up on that. And my wife, several days into this, said, "Honey, you realize they're going to call this thing a pandemic." And I went, "Come on." And guess what? They called it a pandemic. Real flu, fake response. Come on. When I looked at this whole COVID-19 thing, I said to myself, something's missing here. There's a part of this equation that's just missing. And the equation is, this is a real flu, but it's nowhere near as deadly as other flus we've had, as other true pandemics that we've had. Swine fever flu, I forget what that was a few years ago. And that killed scores of people. Even just the plain old flu. Last year, 2018, not 2019, 2018, I'll have to look it up, but if I remember correctly, it's like 80,000 deaths or something like that. By the way, this is cool. These have been popping up in my neck of the woods. There are so many beautiful reasons to be happy. Hashtag chalk your walk. Whoever did this, love it. Hey, come on. Come on, the party's over here. The response to COVID-19 from the outset, we figured out real quick, was fake. What we didn't think was going to happen was what is happening now. And for a little bit there, I started to really question myself. Come here, I got to hook you up. I started questioning myself and I kept going, am I missing something here? Is this bug? Because initially, my wife is an ER nurse. My daughter is a CNA in a nursing home. Long before I was a cop, I was a medical laboratory assistant. Worked in the hospital laboratory, worked in a reference laboratory, cytology, microbiology, blood analysis, did it all. So I have a modicum of understanding of what it is that we're looking at. So from the get-go, COVID-19 just didn't smell right. Something about it just struck me as off. And like my daughter had said, election year virus. But what doesn't play into it is, if President Trump is a president who generally wants to see this country doing well, and I really believe that he does. And the joke that I'm always telling people is, President Trump is a billionaire. What does a billionaire want more than anything else? Another $1 billion, right? Ha ha ha. But the point is, if President Trump genuinely wants America on its feet, doing well, and once again, I believe he does, then why in the world would he want the country shut down? It's a really simple equation. And this is where the left, remember, when I say the left, I don't mean Democrats. I mean the left. What does the left want more than anything else? The left wants to see America face down in a ditch bleeding. Because the left cannot stand the fact that President Trump is doing so much good for this country and for the world. What is the fastest way to perpetuate an agenda? Well, that's really simple. You take a whole bunch of lies and you wrap them in a coating, a very thin coating of truth. Real virus, fake response. If you're looking around you, you're noticing that we are being separated from one another as a people quite efficiently, quite effectively. What I don't think the masses have quite caught on to yet is we're being trained to respond to orders. Stand in this little box. Stand in this box. Don't cross that line. You can't go into that little box. And that game is social engineering. And because we've been subject to social engineering for so many decades now, a great many of us are accepting it, and we're taking it in hook, line, and sinker. Several things came together for me last night. I think the first one that came to me early in the morning was, how do you break America's back? You break it financially. You break it spiritually. You break it morally. And how do you do that? You separate everybody from everybody else, and you make it darn near impossible for people to work, to buy, and or sell. That's what's happening right now. We have all been basically told we have to shelter in place. Now, you'll notice there's traffic coming by. I live in Tennessee, and by the grace of God, we have a governor who isn't a pinhead and who hasn't reacted to fear the way other governors have reacted. A great many of our businesses are still open. Unfortunately, a great many of them are not still open. That's a big problem. And I have loved ones who are out of work right now, and I know that a lot of you watching this also have loved ones who are out of work. You sequester a nation and you keep them away from one another, and you break the country. And it doesn't take long to break a nation when the nation isn't working. The reason I keep saying real virus, fake response is this. How do you keep people from going, wait a minute, there's something sideways going on here? If you put enough minds together in the same room and everyone starts sharing what they're thinking and what they're seeing and what they're reading, everyone starts coming to what's known as a consensus. And people go, wait a minute, okay, so crap radar just lit up. You sequester people with the fear of a virus to keep them away from one another. And in doing so, you wreck the country. And I don't mean slowly, I mean rapidly. You rapidly shut this country down with a fake response to a real virus. Furthermore, you keep people from getting together and raising hell by passing suggestions, rules, that you can't congregate in groups bigger than 10. If you take COVID-19 and you put it on a scale of 1 to 100, in reality, this is probably like a 15 or a 20. We're being told it's an 80, but it's really more like a 15 or a 20. The reason I say 80 instead of 100 is because if it were given the importance of 100, then you would basically have to say COVID-19 is airborne, and you would have mass suicides going on. And the left doesn't want mass suicides because ultimately the left still needs you to be on your feet to eventually work for the new regime that they want to set in place. So they don't want everybody dead in a hole. They just want America broken and on its knees begging for help. Early on in the days of all of this, I remember thinking something is not right. There's a facet of this that's missing, a facet of reality that's missing to this supposed virus. You get to a point where you say to yourself, I need to stop ignoring my gut feeling. And what my gut feeling is telling me is this is bull. Real virus, fake response. And by the way, right now it's spring and there's a lot of pollen in the air. My vehicle is yellow. And don't think that this happening at this time of the year wasn't planned, because at this time of the year you end up with a lot of false positives to respiratory problems brought on by pollen, which is going to spike up the responses to hospitals. From the outset, we've all been hearing the hospitals are going to get overrun. And I got news for you. The hospitals are not overrun. In fact, the hospitals are in a complete free fall. Just like all the other businesses out there, the hospitals also don't have enough income coming in. It's called patients. Elective surgeries have been canceled. Remember, guys, this is an agenda. Elective surgeries have been canceled. That's called revenue. The revenue stream for the hospitals has dried up. My wife was telling me that all the per diem employees, per diem is basically Latin for per day. And what that's talking about is like the contract employees or the part-time people that are just there. They get a higher wage, but they don't get benefits. That's per diem. All the per diem employees have been let go. Full-time employees are being cut down on their hours. And we thought to ourselves, well, it's because we live in a relatively small town in Tennessee. Well, every Saturday afternoon, my wife, her sister, and her mother all get together on FaceTime and they have a chat. And this afternoon, last Saturday afternoon, Come on, come on, come on. Last Saturday afternoon, the three of them were talking, and my wife asked her sister, hey, what kind of numbers are y'all seeing in your hospital? And her sister goes, oh, nothing. We got nothing. We got nothing in the emergency room. We got nothing in the hospital. By the way, look at this crap. Entire park's being closed down because of this fake virus. We got, she says we got nothing in the ER. We got nothing in the hospital. The numbers are way down. We're sending people home left and right. Guys, they're breaking even the hospitals. And by the way, what are we getting told? The hospitals are going to get overrun. Oh, they're not going to be able to keep up with the COVID cases. Oh, everyone needs to shelter in place and stay away from one another. And what they're really saying is don't get together. Don't talk about what's going on. Don't notice that what we're really doing here is we're wrecking the country, and we're doing it really, really fast. So where am I going with all of this? Actually, about a month-ish ago, my wife and I genuinely were in panic mode when we saw how shelves were being sold dry of, or being sold empty of everything. We started getting concerned about the things that we were seeing, and we did panic for a little bit there. But then the realization started to set in that, wait a minute, something's not right. There's a facet of this that's missing. And I said to my wife, I don't think this is it. The end. If you are a Christian, you know that there is an end to this planet. You know that this planet does have an expiration date, that Jesus is going to come back and collect his own. You know that. So you know that there's this thing called, the end. And I kept thinking, dude, I don't think this is it. My wife's brother is an ordained minister. I'll put a link to his church in the description of this video. And as an ordained minister, he delivered a sermon, a very bold sermon, where he basically said, do I think this is it? No. Do I think this is a clarion call to God's people? I'm paraphrasing him. But that's basic. And my wife goes, honey, you said the same thing 3 days ago. And I was like, yeah, I know. This is a real bug. But the response to it is fake. But President Trump really wants this country to be doing well. So why is he going along with this? And look, it comes down to this. Rulers listen to their counselors. And you say to yourself, well, if President Trump is supposed to be so smart, wouldn't he be able to discern between fake information and real information? Sure, given enough time. You'll notice that's what's happening now. The red flags are starting to come up on the World Health Organization, on the Health and Human Services, on some of the crap going on with that Navy captain that's been dismissed. It's starting to leak out around the edges. And I'll give you a great example. If you read your Bible, you know the story of Daniel in the lion's den. That king listened to his counselors, who gave him erroneous information about what Daniel was doing. And because of it, they tossed Daniel in the lion's den. Okay. Then that king realized that he'd made a mistake, and by the grace of God, Daniel lived through the night in the lion's den. Well, guess what? President Trump has listened to his counselors who have said, we need to do this, we need to do this, and we need to do this, and we need to do it now. And he's done it. And now he's starting to go, wait a minute, BS radar is going off. Remember, President Trump is a businessman. He's not an epidemiologist. So what does he do? He surrounds himself with epidemiologists. What if some of those epidemiologists are involved with the left? What if they're part of the agenda to wreck this country and drive it into the flipping ground? Right? So the president, by default, ends up taking the fall. Come on, we need to keep moving. The president ends up taking the fall because it is the president's job to make decisions for right or for wrong in regards to the health of this nation. So he made a choice. But now it's starting to come out that it was a right choice based on incorrect information. Real virus, fake response. When you look at what's going on, you see a president that is desperately trying to keep America on its feet and has now begun to realize, oh man, I'm getting it from both sides and I'm being run into the ground. And what I say to you, to my viewers, I say to you, remember, God is in control of everything and everybody. Nothing happens that God does not allow to happen. Allow this to be the clarion call to you, God's people. Share the message of hope. Share the message of Christianity with everyone you come in contact with. The numbers that we were told we were going to see, we're not going to see. Like I said, my wife is an emergency room nurse, and she says, it's the perfect storm. I mean, think about it. They can say, if they actually manage to get the great big death toll that everyone wants to see, because look, don't kid yourself, the left wants to see a massive death toll. If they get the death toll that they want to see, well, yay, great. If they don't get the death toll that they want to see, then they say, well, social distancing worked. Either way, they get the wrecked economy that they did want to see, and that is what they're getting, and they're getting it very quickly. The fact of the matter is, come on, don't poop out on me now. Come on, old man, let's go. Come on. The fact of the matter is, America is in a free fall right now. And what they're hoping for, what the left is hoping for, is that they can keep everybody in their homes by fear and keep driving this into the ground. And that is the part that really bugs me the most about all this. They're willing to allow our family members, our loved ones, to languish. There are people who are, both the mother and the father are out of work right now because they're both in non-essential industries. And there are families that are getting wrecked financially, fortunes that are being destroyed, savings that are being demolished and consumed, all because the left realizes they don't have a candidate capable of standing on the stage up against Donald Trump, a president who has done more for this country than has been seen, come on, don't poop out, come on, that has been seen for a long time. And remember, guys, there's talk of running this all the way out through the election. That way they don't have to have debates, and you know what? They may even be able to get the elections to be mail-in elections. Oh, don't tell me you can't screw with that one. What the left did not count on is the fact that America was going to rise up, even in our separation from one another, even in our government-imposed separation from one another. Americans are rising up, and we are saying, no, we're not going to act like my case of toilet paper is more important than your case of toilet paper, or my business is more important than your business. We have businesses that are retooling, that are dedicating production for masks, for other things that are needed, unfortunately, for this fake pandemic. Real virus, fake pandemic. But this is the point that is the most salient point of all of this. Remember, this is ultimately a fight between good and evil, God and the devil. If the devil has to resort to a fake response to a virus to keep Americans away from one another, just so he can wreck the country, is that not a testament to, how can I put this? Is that not a testament to the Judeo-Christian ethos of the United States of America? I'm going to say that again just in case those vehicles ruin the audio. If the devil has to resort to a fake response to a virus to lock down this country, to keep us away from one another, to keep us from talking with one another, that is a compliment to the Judeo-Christian ethos. Buenos dias. To the Judeo-Christian ethos of the United States of America. We are a nation that is filled with more people who love America, love God, and love freedom and family than people who hate America, hate God, and hate freedom and hate family. Because the devil has had to sequester us. Come on, dude, don't poop out on me. Because the devil has had to sequester us from one another so he can take this country down. And one more time, America is stepping up. Digitally, we're doing it now. We're still getting together digitally. We're still going to church digitally. Guys, America is going to make it through this. Do not forget this moment. Do not forget where you are right now on Wednesday, April 8th. That you're living in fear for finances, living in fear for the safety of your family. Real virus, fake response. Lean on community. And community, guys, community is all around you. America is pulling together. We're helping one another. Guys, our founding fathers went through the same thing. They dealt with disease that took hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people out. Lean on your religious beliefs. Lean on community. Call one another. My neighbor just on the other side of this house is visited by her son every day. He pulls into the cul-de-sac, he gets out of the car, he leans up against the fender of the car and he talks to mom from 15 feet away. And I got news for you. That man never used to come around. Remember, she lives directly across from me. I see her house all the time. He never used to come around. Now he's over here all the time. This is drawing Americans closer together. We're going to make it. It's going to be okay. God bless you all. Have a good one.